some things that you can't get without putting in work, blood, tears, sweat. Everybody on your mark, get set.
What does the word reality mean to you? Something that is real. Life, what's actually happening, the here and now. It's the truth, it's the facts. And I'll tell students as we go through this reality ride, this is what's real. And I'm going to ask you one simple question at the end. And this is my challenge to you, I'll say to my students. Just one little challenge. In your own words, be able to tell me what this picture or analogy is about. And if you can have students do that, you have been extremely successful. The goal is not to problem solve or fix anything. The goal in teaching this visual metaphor is to create insight and self-discovery. And if you can help students have that insight and self-discovery, sometimes those are the keys or the seeds to change. Now, the blimp that's pulling the banner has the word goal. And I'll tell students your ticket to get on this ride is to have a goal. And that goal needs to be something that's meaningful, a dream, something you're really excited about that you want to achieve. And we have one qualifier, one rule. That goal cannot hurt themselves or others. Now, step number 3, you ask a simple question. What are the 3 main environments where you spend your time? Generally, the 3 main environments are home, school, and peers. The decisions you make, some of the discussion you have, the decisions you make in those 3 environments a lot of times determine the track you go down in life and your destination. But there are challenges in those 3 environments that take you down the ups and downs of life. What are 2 or 3 challenges students have at home, in their home environment?
No structure.
No structure. Poverty.
Food in the house.
No food in the house, just basic needs. Substance abuse going on in the home. Parental conflict. Lack of parenting. Sometimes parents aren't there. Sometimes the students are the caregivers. What are some of the challenges they have at school, in school? Bad grades. Learning disabilities. Being accepted. The teacher doesn't like me, or I don't like the teacher. What are some of the challenges they have with their peers? Acceptance, fitting in, substance abuse. Yeah, fights all the time because he doesn't want to look like a punk. There's a lot of challenges I tell students. And you notice that there's an arrow pointing to the easy fast track. Sometimes those challenges appear to be uphill, and they're very challenging. Sometimes some kids are hurting so much, they're having a hard time dealing or coping with those challenges, they turn to this easy fast track. And it takes them up high. There appears to be something they get from it. There's a perceived benefit. There's a rush. It's easy and it's fast. Anybody can do those things. Let's just list some things that get kids in trouble. Truancy, skipping school, fighting, drugs and alcohol, breaking the law, and sometimes sexually acting out inappropriately. Can you be good at not doing homework? It's easy. I could be great at that. That's the one thing I could do really good. It's easy and it's fast. Can you skip school without too much trouble? Can you go to a party and find drugs or alcohol at a party? Anybody can ride that easy fast track. There is a perceived benefit though. Let's just take a simple one like skipping school. What is the perceived benefit for skipping school or sloughing school? It's relief from the social pressure. They're usually with their friends. They're sometimes at a park or a house getting high. When you ride that easy fast track, it appears to be fun and exciting. It appears to be delivering something that you really enjoy. What goes up must come down. And the reality is the ride comes down and you crash. And when you crash, you have all kinds of feelings and consequences that come from the crash. Sometimes students don't recognize the consequences. You have to help them recognize what they are. Sometimes they don't come immediate. So students think, I've been doing this, I'm not getting into trouble. But I tell students the consequences always come. Notice when the crash, what letter comes off the wheels? The P. And that's peers. I ask students, why do you think Christian put that there? When the heat is on, they take off, they flight, they get out of there, they ditch you. We'll have some discussion and list some of the consequences that they have for number 5, all the things that get them in trouble. We usually will pick 3 or 4 of those and then they get 3 or 4 consequences so they can see. What are some consequences for skipping school? Loss of credit, bad grades, you get truancy court, you can get suspended or you can have even expulsion over time, you can be kicked out. For some students, they'll feel that's a reward. As a matter of fact, a lot of the students you work with don't care right now. They're at risk. But sometimes they care more than you think, too. With their peers, when you're in a group, they get in that status, they're bad. They're not going to let you know. But I've been with a lot of kids one-on-one, and there's something inside where they do care. Well, these consequences you're getting give me lasting opportunity, freedom, and self-respect. Because a lot of kids, when they ride the easy fast track, think that's giving them freedom. That's their perceived benefit. I'm my own person. I get to do what I want to do. But the reality is many times when you're crashing, it's actually taking you away from freedom or taking your freedoms away. And you know you're in the loop if you're continually feeling frustrated, confused, angry, upset, whatever that tense emotion, but the big indicator there, you keep getting the same results. And a lot of students want something different sometimes, but they never change their behavior. Christian said this happened to him all the time. He'd ride that easy fast track, he'd come down and crash, have the consequences, the wheels would come off, so to speak, of the crash, then he'd loop and he'd start the ride over. He'd ride it over and over again. You can call that a habit, you can call it a learned behavior. In some cases, it's the addiction cycle. Now, if you look up on number 8 here, there's a hard but worth it track. Tell me visually, appears not to be as exciting, doesn't go up as high. Ultimately, it actually keeps on climbing and goes over time, goes higher, but the appearance is that it's not as exciting, but it does go higher. It has options, and we could have had more options or forks at the top, but you do have options. You have keys that unlock the door to for other options. It's bumpy, and we don't want to lie to kids. When you get on that hard or worth it track, life still has challenges, but there's some ups and downs, even on the hard or worth it track. And kids, when they make the decision, sometimes they think when they make the decision, I'm going to make some change in my life, and then they get over on the hard or worth it track, and they realize challenges haven't gone away. Sometimes they say, well, they thought it was just going to be smooth sailing. Life is not smooth sailing. They need to know the truth. But they're going to be better prepared to deal and cope with those challenges on the hard or worth it track. The hard or worth it track has support, and we could put that A-frame anywhere along that track, but who can support me? And you can have great discussion. Who can support me along the hard or worth it track? And the reality of this ride is generally when you're on the hard or worth it track, you will have the opportunity to tap into more support. But if you see them fighting against you, there's a natural human reaction just to, if they don't care, I don't care. And that happens. I would like students to know on this track that it is harder but worth it. They need to understand that it takes great effort. But that effort brings, that's why it's so worth it. I a lot of times bring video clips in and show teams winning championship games. Because you see young men and young women, or women and adults, when they win a championship, a state championship or an NCAA or whatever, but I ask students, why does everybody get so excited? Because they had to try so hard, work so hard. They know the effort and the work and the process along the way has so much great meaning. They know what they had to overcome. I think it's fantastic when you win a championship, an old coach. But I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of you in this room can have private victories or already have had private victories that are way beyond winning a championship. And ESPN won't be there, ABC or whatever, the networks won't be there. And I want kids to understand that. If you're a young lady or a young man and you have domestic violence in your home, your dad's an alcoholic, and you show up and you're still in the game and you're progressing, that's a private victory. If you're a young person that has an addiction, and it's easy to talk about addictions, it is it's hard to break an addiction, but you break that addiction, that is a private victory. I have a son named Pete that has dyslexia, and he struggles. He's in special ed. He's a sophomore in high school, but Pete has an amazing attitude. He's in the game. He goes to school every day and he works really hard, and he does homework 2 to 3 hours every night. What's it going to feel like when he goes on? Because he'll go on to be very successful. Anyway, those are private victories. That's way beyond winning a basketball championship or whatever. That's what this is about. Helping kids come off the easy fast track and stop crashing and get on this harder but worth it track to achieve their goals. Right on the harder worth it track, ask the question, what would motivate me to ride here? That may be the key question. What would motivate your students, or I'm asking students, what would motivate you to ride on the hard but worth it track? For some, it's just a reward, more money, lifestyle, or more money. A strong, positive relationship that ties to who can support me. But I'll tell you right now, one key adult that believes in somebody can make a huge difference. You can't be it for everybody. You can't be that key person for everybody. But everyone in this room can be that key adult for somebody. But that is one of the keys, and that will motivate a lot of kids to work hard on that harder but worth it track. And students are going to get on that track. A lot of times they're going to return right back to the easy fast track. It's not a one-time decision. You're on the harder worth it track and you just sail into the sunset. They're going to return, some kids that have really been at risk are going to return many times to the easy fast track. But they need to know, a lot of times people say, well, I'm never going to be able to make it, and they throw their hands up and they continue back on the cycle. They need to know they can come right back and get on that harder but worth it track.